My mother-in-law told our wedding guests I was an abusive partner. Then my fiancé took the microphone and said 5 words that shattered her. I was 30 seconds into my wedding reception when I realized my marriage might not make it to the first dance. The moment happened so fast, I almost missed it. The shift in the room's energy, the way conversations died, mid-sentence, the sudden weight of 200 pairs of eyes turning toward the head table, where my soon-to-be mother-in-law stood, with a microphone in her hand and tears streaming down her face. I can't stay silent anymore, Patricia Whitmore said, her voice cracking, with what sounded like genuine anguish. Not when my daughter is about to legally bind herself to someone who has hurt her, who continues to hurt her. My stomach dropped. My fiancé, Olivia, grabbed my hand under the table, her fingers ice cold. I looked at her, searching for an explanation, but her face had gone pale, her jaw set, in that way it does when she's about to explode around us. The reception hall, decorated with thousands of dollars worth of flowers and fairy lights, had transformed into a courtroom, and I was the accused. I'd been with Olivia for 3 years, engaged for 8 months, planning this wedding for nearly a year. We'd met at a medical conference in Seattle, where she was presenting research on pediatric cardiology, and I was there representing the nonprofit I'd founded for childhood cancer survivors. The connection was instant. Our relationship had been the kind of healthy, communicative partnership I'd always wanted. We moved in together after 6 months, got a golden retriever named Biscuit after a year. I proposed on a hiking trip in the mountains. No audience, just us and the sunset. Her parents seemed supportive, if a bit distant. Her father, Richard, was a corporate lawyer who barely spoke. Her mother, Patricia, was all smiles and southern hospitality, but there was something calculating in her eyes I couldn't quite pin down. Olivia had warned me her mother could be difficult, but I'd assumed she meant the usual mother-in-law stereotypes, boundary issues, wedding planning drama, unsolicited parenting advice. I had no idea what Patricia Whitmore was actually capable of. I've seen the bruises, Patricia continued, and the room erupted in gasps. I've heard the phone calls where she's crying, apologizing for things that aren't her fault. I've watched my daughter become a shell of who she was. She pulled out her phone, her hands shaking. I have evidence, photos, text messages, voice recordings of late-night calls where she begs me not to tell anyone because she's afraid of what will happen. My mind raced through every interaction, every argument, every stressed moment during wedding planning. Olivia had bruised her shin last month, tripping over Biscuit's water bowl. She'd been stressed about her research grant proposal, had called her mother a few times in tears about work pressure. But Patricia was twisting everything, reframing our normal relationship struggles into something sinister. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. This is insane, I said, my voice barely steady. Olivia, tell them this isn't true. Olivia stood slowly, and for one horrible moment, I thought she might actually go along with her mother's delusion. Then I saw her face, not scared, not confused, but absolutely furious. She walked to where her mother stood, took the microphone from her hand with a gentleness that seemed almost dangerous, and turned to face our guests. The room was so quiet, I could hear my own heartbeat. Mom, Olivia said, her voice eerily calm. You need to sit down now. Patricia reached for the microphone. Honey, I know you're scared, but you don't have to protect. Olivia held the microphone away, her other hand raised. The bruise you photographed? Her voice was clinical, detached. The voice she used when presenting research findings from my golden retriever. The crying phone calls about the grant proposal. That determines my entire career trajectory. The evidence you've compiled is a fantasy you constructed because you can't handle the fact that I'm happy with someone you don't control. The room shifted again. Murmurs of confusion, replacing the shocked silence. Patricia's face flushed red. You don't know what you're saying. You're traumatized. That's when Olivia said the 5 words that would haunt Patricia Whitmore for the rest of her life. She looked directly at her mother, her voice clear and unwavering, and said, I know about your embezzlement scheme. The microphone nearly dropped from her hand as she watched her mother's face drain of color for 3 seconds, maybe 5. Nobody breathed. Then Patricia laughed, a shrill, desperate sound. That's absurd. You're clearly so desperate to. But Olivia was already pulling out her own phone, swiping to something she'd clearly prepared. I've been working with the FBI for 6 months, she said, still in that terrifyingly calm voice. The charity foundation you run, the one for underprivileged children's education, you've been skimming donations for years, $300,000 into offshore accounts. I found the first discrepancy when I helped you with your taxes last year, and I couldn't let it go. She looked at our guests, many of whom were major donors to Patricia's charity. I reported it in March. They've been building the case since then. I was supposed to testify next week, but you couldn't help yourself. Could you, Mom? You had to try to destroy my happiness first. Patricia stumbled backward, grabbing the edge of the table for support. Her husband Richard stood up slowly, his face unreadable. Olivia, he said quietly, what are you talking about? Full story is linked below or on my